Here are the pros and cons to living in Reno, Nevada. Hey everyone, it's David Tully, and on this channel, I give you local real estate market insights and I show you what it's like to live and play in the area. And in this video, we're going to be going over the pros and the cons of living in Reno, Nevada. So if you enjoy this type of content, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you're thinking about moving or relocating to the area and you need some help, just reach out. So one of the best parts I believe about Reno is the weather. We have almost 300 days of sunshine a year. And I myself am originally from Hawaii. I love good weather, but the Reno weather is absolutely gorgeous. So if you're thinking about spring, I say you're going to be in about the 50s to 60s, and is easily one of my favorite seasons in the Reno area. And at night in the spring, you're probably going to drop into the 20s or 30s at night, but overall a very comfortable season. So summer is going to be a little bit warmer, of course, in about the high 80s to low 90s typically, but we can most certainly get into the high 90s and low hundreds. But you might be wondering, okay, low hundreds, I'm a little worried and maybe this isn't the place I want to visit. But unlike places like Phoenix and Las Vegas, where you hit really high temperatures like 110 to 115, we actually cooled down at night. So just a few days ago, it was about 101 or 102 degrees, but we cooled down to about 60 degrees at night, which makes it very comfortable. And if you're thinking about fall, you're looking at about in the 50s to 70s, depending on what part of fall you're looking at for the daytime, and about the 20s or 30s at night in the fall. Also one of my favorite seasons in the Reno area. And last but not least is winter. You're probably wondering, how cold does it get? And like I said, I'm from Hawaii. I'm not a huge fan of the cold, but I actually enjoy it now. And it's not that bad. I would say most of the winter during the daytime, you're going to be in the mid 30s to mid 40s with, the occasional storm or blizzard that comes in and brings us into the single digits. But like I said, those are blizzards or storms. They're not that common. And over the last couple of years, we haven't received that much snow. So I would typically say most of the time when we get snow, say in the evening, most times the ice or the snow will be melted by about 10 or 11 in the morning. So if you really don't like driving in the winter, I would just suggest not driving in the evening or the early morning if there's obviously some ice or snow, because it's going to be a little bit tougher and trickier. But overall, the winter driving really isn't that bad. And occasionally we might get a little snowstorm or a snow day in the morning, and it might not even look like it snowed that afternoon. So it's truly not that bad. I think the weather in the Reno area is absolutely awesome. All right, so one of the biggest cons to living in the Reno area at the moment is rent. Rent is very expensive in the area. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. A lot of these luxury apartments are building brand new apartments and they're starting around $2,000 to $2,200 for a 1-bedroom apartment, which is outrageous. But you can understand why with inflation and the prices of gas and everything going up, including interest rates and mortgages, those rent prices are increasing. So you can definitely find a 1-bedroom apartment in the $1,800 to $2,200 range fairly easily with giving a little more effort or taking a little more time. You can certainly find a 1-bedroom probably in the $1,200 to $1,500, but it's going to be a little bit harder. And I will say, if you have a pet, a dog, a cat, anything, it's going to be harder to find a rental, whether it's an apartment or a home. So I highly suggest, if you can, get together with a couple of friends and try finding a house that you might be able to rent for $1,700 or $2,500, and now you can split that 2 to 5 ways and save a good portion of money. All right, so one of the best parts of living in Reno is Lake Tahoe, hands down. I can almost guarantee that most residents in the area will say that Lake Tahoe is one of the best benefits to living in Reno. And yes, I understand Lake Tahoe is not in Reno, but it is fairly close. And I will say, if you're trying to go to places like Sand Harbor, which is actually my favorite beach at Tahoe, and you're trying to go there in the summer, I highly recommend you show up at about 7 to 7:15 in the morning. Yes, we recently went at 7:30 about a week ago, and we couldn't get in on a Saturday. So go a little early if you can, and you're gonna love it. So there's also some other beaches like Kings Beach around Tahoe, or you can head on over to South Lake and check out Zephyr Cove or Zephyr Beach, or maybe even Round Hill Pines. You can soak up the sun on the sand, hop on a jet ski, or even get a paddleboard. It is a ton of fun, and don't forget your floaties. All right, so one of the biggest cons to living in the Reno area, and this one definitely hurts a bit because this is what I do for a living, but it is the home prices in the area. They are unaffordable, and they are in about the $600,000 to $620,000 range for the median home price. If you're looking for homes in the $300,000 to $400,000 range for a single family home, it's going to be quite difficult. And if you're looking in the $400,000 plus range, you're going to have a much easier time as you go above $500,000. If you're looking for a new home in the area, you can expect to pay at least $400,000 to $430,000 if you're looking for a smaller single family home or a townhouse. But maybe you work from home and driving isn't a huge issue for you. I highly recommend checking out some areas like Fernley or Fallon if you're trying to find really good value and a home under $400,000. But it's not all bad news about home prices in the area. I'm sure you've seen nationally that the housing market has slowed down due to higher interest rates and lower buyer demand. What this means is there's less competition and there's more inventory available. So if you're moving or relocating the area and need to buy a home here, it is significantly easier than just 3 to 4 months ago. And when rates come down in a year or two, you can refinance. So hopefully you can find an affordable option in the Reno area. So I'm sure you probably knew this before this video, but one of the biggest reasons why people and company relocate to Reno, Nevada, or just Nevada in general, is that we don't have state income tax, which is huge. We are only one of 9 states that have this, but this is truly one of the best parts of living in Reno, Nevada. So currently one of the cons in the Reno area is the traffic and construction. Since we're growing at such a rapid rate, they're having to do a lot of construction on the freeways and the roadways. But that's kind of a pro and a con. Because we've been growing at such a rapid rate, our infrastructure needs some work. So they have been working on the freeway for quite some time now, kind of near the GSR area and the Spaghetti Bowl. But eventually there's going to be more lanes on the freeway, and overall it's going to flow better. They're also going to be starting construction soon in South Reno to figure out the roadway and the lane situation on Rio Wrangler and Damani Ranch Parkway, because it's kind of just a cluster right now, in the early mornings and in the evenings. But like I said, this is because we've been growing at such a rapid rate. And you can expect on the freeways, 395 and 80 around the Spaghetti Bowl to be a little busy in the early mornings and in the evenings because of school and work. You can also expect a little bit of traffic on Veterans Parkway, Sparks Boulevard, and Pyramid at those same times. But overall, it's really not that bad, especially if you compare it to areas like San Francisco and LA. The traffic here is a joke, but it is there at times. All right, so a really fun part and pro of living in Reno is that we have a lot of events and fun things to do. If you like wine or just having a good time, I highly recommend you check out the Wine Walk, which typically takes place on a Saturday and costs about $25 to $35 for a glass. There's about 10 to 15 different restaurants and bars that participate, and you just walk around and get a glass of wine and have some fun and eat some good food with your friends. Another fun one is Street Vibrations. So if you have a motorcycle and you're into motorcycle rallies, you should probably take a look. And if you're looking at hot August nights, this is one of the most fun in the area. and it is really cool because it takes place over about 7 to 10 days in August, and it brings people from all over the world, both domestic and internationally. It's a really fun event. And in September, we got a lot going on. We have the rib cook-off, which I highly recommend you check out, and definitely get some extra barbecue sauce for the time in between the next rib cook-off. Also in September is the Great Balloon Race. So you're gonna wanna get up early, get some coffee and donuts with your kids, and check out the balloon races. Another really big one in the Reno area is the Reno Rodeo, which typically goes for about 10 to 14 days, and it is one of the biggest events in the Reno area. So as you can see, we have a lot of going on in Reno, and it's a really fun place to live. All right, so we live in Nevada and it is dry. This is a con for most people. Like I said, I'm originally from Hawaii and I was used to the humid weather, but now that I've lived in Reno for 10 years, I actually prefer the dry heat and the dry weather to humid heat and humid weather. So I just wanted you to know that being in Reno, Nevada is definitely dry because we are still in Nevada. All right, so one of the biggest pros to living in Reno are the ski resorts. And yes, a lot of these ski resorts are not in Reno, but they are very, very close and convenient. So one of my favorites and one of the local favorites is Mount Rose Ski Resort. And it's only about 23 to 25 minutes away from my home in South Reno. I absolutely love it. Some of the other really great resorts in the area are North Star, Heavenly, or even Kirkwood if you want to drive a little bit further. So this is definitely one of the best parts in the area because you have easy access to some really great ski resorts. So last but not least, and one of the biggest pros to living in the Reno area is that we have good all-you-can-eat sushi. And you might be thinking, okay, great, David, we're in Nevada. How good can your sushi really be? And like I said, I'm from Hawaii. I'm sure you've heard it and you're tired of it. I'm sorry, but I love good fish and I love good poke. So we do have good all-you-can-eat sushi and good fish in the area. So some of my favorites are Sakana Sushi, Tokyo Sushi, and Ohana Sushi. But my absolute favorite place to go is Tokyo Sushi, which is located on Virginia Street and Plum. I highly recommend you check it out. My friends, my wife, and myself have been going there for years. And if they happen to have it at the time, I highly recommend you try their huckleberry ice cream. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video on the pros and the cons to living in the Reno, Nevada area. And if you've enjoyed this type of content, I'd really appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe. And if you're thinking about moving or relocating to the area, just reach out. I'd be happy to help. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.